Carson deal with a lot in just his time here. How do you think he'll respond from?
I think he'll respond well. It's the only way to go. He knows no other way. There is no other choice. That's when you play really good teams and you're playing conference football, the margins are really small. One possession games reign supreme at this time of year. And if you give away plays, it's going to get you. And you know what? Tonight it got us. So lesson has to be learned, and we have to go do something about it. Talking about it ain't going to do anything.
Well, the real Carson Beck finally stood up. A reckless turnover nightmare. Literally threw an interception, got bailed out by a bad call, and then threw another one directly after. I mean, I guess the ball don't lie, right? And look, I could appreciate him giving his guys a chance to make a play by sometimes just throwing it up, but the constant throws into triple coverage, passes that were underthrown, and one possibly could have been a touchdown. And this is what I was talking about with Carson Beck a season ago. So many Georgia fans maintained that had he been in, things would have gone differently in the CFP. I agree, amigo. Things could have gone real south. You think it was bad before? And look, if you're a Miami fan, you're going to the bigger picture right now, right? We're still a solid football team, and one loss doesn't take you out of the Invitational. It's a playoff, I know. That's what they call it, but it's an Invitational. As long as it's voted on and you're invited to come, it's an Invitational, not a playoff. Here nor there, if you're a Miami fan, that's what you're looking at. But this is, again, why I say, why should Miami be the number one, 2 team in the country right now? We're in the middle of October. I just don't believe in a polls, first of all. And secondly, if we're going to have it, I don't believe it should happen until November, basically. I want a solid 8-9 weeks of football before we're ranking anybody. Because now we don't know what's going to happen from here. And I've got $50 that says Louisville is going to be ranked in the top 25 come Tuesday morning. And speaking of Louisville, they were just out hustling Miami. A lot of extra effort plays on offense, on defense. They were just swarming to the football. I mean, it wasn't all Carson Beck playing bad football. A good part of that was also Louisville being in his face all night long and creating great coverage on the back end. We saw some coverage plays and some desperation plays that were made by the coverage that was happening by the Louisville defense. Now, there were parts of that game where they got nervous, and you could tell that maybe it was a bit too big for them for a moment. And it got to a situation where they started playing not to lose, and it was evident the pressure was getting to them. I mean, you take that wide open play that Moss missed to his guy, middle of the third quarter? Then they had the turnover, right? They fumbled it after they had the interception that they forced on the play that I just talked about with Carson Beck. And that got Miami back in the game. And even then, they had to run trick plays. Look, it was actually a pretty good game to watch, except for the fact that it was also sloppy. And I just don't see either team, if you look at that game, do you look at that game and go, is this just one game? Or would either team be good in the Invitational? Would any team right now, looking at that, right, do you think Louisville or Miami would be able to contend against, for instance, Indiana? How do you think they would do against Ohio State? If we go to the SEC right now, how do you think they would do against Ole Miss? I think these are very fair questions right now. But again, this is what I like about the extended Invitational. We get more teams. And so one loss doesn't destroy your season. And look, I get where Coach is coming from, right? Look, man, talking about it's not going to help anything. He had a bad game. We're all just going to watch film and we're going to move on. We're going to figure out a way to learn from this loss. I can't be frustrated with an answer like that. And at the end of the day, you have to show confidence in your guy, especially in the new college football world where you're literally paying somebody a good amount of money. Now you have to really show confidence in them. And it's better than what Brian Kelly does over at LSU by just throwing everybody under the bus all the time except himself. Oh, we just got to, our guys got to play better. Remember when he was at Notre Dame? I'm a big fan of execution, and after tonight, maybe our guys should be executed. By the way, he said that after a win. So it's better than what Brian Kelly's doing. And look, I don't have a problem with the coach being honest about their team. You've had coaches go on and go, look, we're just not very good. And that's fine. But I'm not mad at this approach either. Look, man, we're just going to move on. And I get it. The look on his face says kind of defeated, a little frustrated, sort of pissed off. I get it, Brody. But what can you do? Look, it's over, man. The game is over. And I don't know that it's fitting to crash out over one game, but man alive, there's a lot to clean up from both teams. Louisville's got to understand the moment, and had it not been for the defense times Carson Beck's horrible play, Louisville doesn't come out in that game on top. Are you allowed to lose a game and still be a great team? Absolutely. But being that we truly don't know what's going to happen from here on in, I err on the side of, well, it's not a good look, but it's not over. So there's that. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. The Smoke by Drew Duncan, the Drew Duncan Sports Show, iTunes, iHeart, etc. Wherever you're listening, I am there. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.